Okay. In JavaScript, we have two types of values as a return type from the function. Okay, what are those? We can say those two values are immediate and versus eventual value. Okay, what is immediate value? Immediate versus eventual value. So whenever we call any simple function, yeah, go ahead.
No.
Yeah. So whenever we are going to call any simple function, what will happen? If I write some logic, function sum, right? X comma y. Okay, return x plus y, right? So whenever we are going to call this function, what will happen? It automatically return you, right? Immediately, correct?
Yes.
Okay. In case of eventual functions or eventual values, what will happen? Suppose we have a function like, okay, function get data, right? Here, what happened? We are writing some logic to make get request, right? To get it from server, an Ajax call, or we make it the set timeout. So what will happen? So it takes some time to execute this function and return value, right? Okay, so if we call immediately something like data where data is equal to get data, if we call, okay, if we print directly, what will happen? You won't get any value back, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, what will happen? Our eventual function or eventual value is not yet ready to return the value, correct?
Yes.
Okay, we can say state machine or how it have a state set. So by default, eventual value is not ready, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so it can perform two cases. When it is ready, it return you the value back. Otherwise, it may throw an error, right?
Yes.
Okay, ready and error. So in order to handle this value once ready, what we have done, what is the approach that we used? We have approached a callback function, right? We passed the callback function to this function, correct?
Yes.
Okay, you can pass the callback function, correct? Here,
Yeah.
see the callback function. If you pass, once this value is ready, correct? That time what we have done, by passing the value whatever we get it, that value we pass it to callback function as an argument, correct?
Yes.
In this way we have written it. So what are the problems that we came across when we have written any logic by using the callbacks? Okay, it may lead to the callback hell, correct?
Yes.
So, okay, JavaScript introduced new concepts called promises and
Async
async
and await.
await. Okay, so now it is time to start learn about the promises, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now you have to tell me what is a promise. What is a promise? You can tell in Telugu also.
It's like మాట ఇవ్వడం.
Correct? మాట ఇవ్వడం. So, Ottu we can call it, right?
Yes.
So, you are which part of Andhra?
I'm purely Hyderabad, Telangana.
Hyderabad, okay. Great. So, yeah. Ottu ఇవ్వడం we can say. So promise is something that we can say some assurance, right?
Yes.
Okay, some assurance for future, right?
Yes.
In future, I will do the whatever the promise that we have given, right? Correct?
Yeah.
So suppose if we have a mother, right?
Yes.
Okay, mother and child we will have. So what mother is going to do? Mother is going to give the promise to child. Okay, by saying if you pass an exam, correct? If you pass an exam, I'm going to buy an iPhone, correct? Apple iPhone. So,
Yes.
okay, Apple iPhone promise the mother has given. So, okay, when this what? So, mother has given promise to child that whenever you are going to pass an exam, okay, passing an exam is it is not at ready, right?
Yes.
It is a future task, correct?
Yes.
In future, once we get the results, okay, the mother will
By an iPhone.
fulfill the promise, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So once we got the result, correct?
Mm.
Okay, now the mother has two options, correct? What are those?
Mm.
First, she can buy a phone, correct? She may not, right?
Yeah, she may not drive.
She doesn't buy a phone. So whenever we will make a promise, what will happen? We will fulfill the promise, correct?
Yes.
Here, this is the fulfillment. If the promise is fulfilled, then the child will have a new phone, correct?
Yes.
If the promise is not fulfilled, I mean to say, we can say the promise has rejected, correct?
Mm.
Here, the promise has been rejected. So, in that case, the child doesn't get a phone, correct?
Yes.
So, and also the mother is playing a trick like she is not responding. So, we got the result, correct?
Yes.
Okay, almost 1 month over, correct? But still mother is not saying whether she will buy it or not going to buy it, correct?
Yes.
So, what happened? The child will be in dilemma whether her mother is going to buy a phone or not, correct?
Yeah.
So, what the child is going to do? The child will keep himself a deadline, correct?
Yes.
Like 1 month over, and what he will do? He will make a deadline of 10 days more, correct?
Yes.
Okay, 10 days more. He will make a 10 days. So, what he will assume, if mother buys a phone, then it is well and good. If she didn't buy a phone, what he is going to do? He will make alternative plans, right? Some alternate plans. He can ask his father, or he can go for any part-time job to buy a phone, correct?
Yes.
If he go for father, or if he is willing, even father is not accepting, he can go for part-time job, or he can check with his friends or some other relatives. Okay. So in this way, the real promise will work, correct?
Yeah.
So in the same way, our JavaScript promise also will work. Okay, in JavaScript, the promise is an object. Okay, let me open one document. Okay, so promises. Okay, promises are similar to promises that we make in real life. Okay, so what is a promise? Assurance that one will do something or that a particular thing will happen, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what happens when someone makes a promise to you? Okay, a promise gives you some assurance that will be done, correct?
Yes.
Okay, whether they will do it themselves or they get it done by others, that is immaterial, correct? So, which means here, in our case, the mother can herself buy a phone to child, or she can take money from any others, that doesn't matter for the child, correct?
Yes.
Just he wants the final outcome of phone only, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. They give you an assurance based on which you can plan something, correct? So once the child receives the iPhone, what he can plan? He can plan something like he wants to watch the movies, right?
Yes.
What he will do? He will take an Amazon Prime subscription, assume, and aram se he can watch the watch movies. So once he got the iPhone, he has a plan to take the Amazon subscription and watch movies in it. So next, a promise can either be kept or broken.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, when a promise is kept, you expect something out of that promise. Okay, so in our case, if the mother fulfilled or kept the promise, the child got the Apple iPhone. You can make the use of the output of a promise for your further actions or plans, correct? So once the child receives the promise, which means he receives the iPhone, so he has a plan to go for the Amazon Prime subscription and to watch movies. Up to now clear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When a promise is broken, you want to know the
Reason.
why the person who made the promise was not able to keep his side bargain. Okay, so something like we can know what is the reason behind the promise has been broken, correct?
Yes.
So assume the reason is, we can say, due to COVID, the mother may not have a sufficient funds, correct?
Yes.
In order to make or fulfill the promise. Okay. So next point, when a promise is made to us, all we have is an assurance. Okay. So we can't act it on immediately, correct?
Yes.
Okay, we can decide and formulate what needs to be done when the promise is kept, correct? Okay, so it is something that we are expecting the promise will fulfill in the future, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we are expecting the outcome in the future. Okay, if it is broken, we are expecting some result why it has been broken. Reason behind it, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes there is a chance that the person didn't come back even after some period, correct?
Yes.
So in that case, what the child is going to do, he is going to make some alternate plans, correct?
Yeah.
So now this is all about the theory. Now next we'll go to the actual implementation. So what in our real time, right, or in JavaScript. So what we are going to do? We are going to make an AJAX call, correct? So after the AJAX call, it is an eventual value, correct?
Yes.
So we can plan something like, if you can make or you can think of Ajax is like a promise, correct?
Yes.
So once we got the result, what is our plan? Display the result, correct?
Yes.
Suppose it is failed, right? What we can say?
Reject.
What is the reason behind failure, right?
Yeah.
Like whether it is a invalid input parameters or something like that, or any server-side error. Those things we can show to the end user in the UI, correct?
Yes.
And also, once we make the call, the server did not respond for a certain period of time. Okay, so we can't wait, right? User will wait for 10 to 20 minutes to complete the call. No, right?
No.
Yeah. So we will wait for mostly 5 or 10 seconds. If it does not over, then we will give some error message to the end user, correct? Yeah. This is the way we have to handle any asynchronous call. Okay, we will see next. Okay, a promise is an object that may produce a single value sometime in the future. Correct? It can be a resolved value or a reason why it is not resolved. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, promises are used to handle asynchronous operations in JavaScript. Okay, by using callbacks, we can do or we can handle asynchronous operations. Okay, but we saw what are the problems that we face if we do it by using the callbacks, right? That's why ECMAScript 6 was introduced a new concept called promises. Okay, promises are the ideal choice for handling asynchronous operations in the simplest manner. Okay, they can handle multiple asynchronous operations easily and provide better error handling than callbacks and events. Okay, so these are the benefits of promises, correct? So these improves the code reusability, better handling of asynchronous operation, better flow of control definition in async logic, better error handling. So these are the some of the benefits that we will get if we go for the promises. Okay, so these statements you will understand once we complete our examples only, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, a promise has 4 states, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now in JavaScript we have a promise. That promise has 4 states. What is the first one? Pending, fulfilled, rejected, settled. Okay. So the names itself is the self-explanatory, right?
Yes.
Okay, what is meant by pending?
Promise is still pending. Not fulfilled or rejected yet.
Correct? The child has given a, mother has given a promise to child.
Yeah.
But so far, no action has been taken on that promise. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Next is the fulfilled. Okay, which means the mother has
Give
bought
the
the
child an
Apple iPhone.
Yeah.
So we can say action related to the promise has been succeeded. Clear, right?
Yes.
Next we have rejected. So the mother told that she don't have enough funds. She does not want to buy a Apple iPhone for the child. So she rejected the promise. Next we have settled. Okay, we can say we have an outcome from that promise, whether it is fulfilled or rejected. So we can say the promise has been settled. Clear, right?
Yes.
Next. So this is the way. So if you see the promise, whenever you create a promise, by default it will be in the pending state, correct?
Yes.
Okay, once you resolve the promise, what you will get? You will have an outcome, right?
Yes.
If it is rejected, you know behind the reason why it has been rejected, correct?
Yes.
So we can say this one is a settled here. Pending, resolve, rejected. This part we can say it is settled. Okay, just a minute, I will come. Okay. So next we are going to see promise API. Okay. So promise is an object in JavaScript. So it contains the static methods. Right. So the first method we have resolve. Okay. So what it will tell? It returns a promise with a,
That is with a given value.
yeah, it is resolved with a given value. Understood?
Yes.
Yeah. So next, it returns a promise object that is resolved with the given value. Next we have promise dot reject. I will come to this point next. Okay, what it will tell? It returns a promise object that is rejected with a given reason. Okay. Next we have promise dot then. Correct? Okay, so what then is going to do? It takes two functions, correct? Resolved and rejected. It takes two arguments. Okay, these are the callback functions, okay, for success and failure cases of the promise. Okay, so the resolved function is going to be called whenever the promise is resolved with the outcome what it is going to be resolved, correct? That parameter or the outcome is going to pass to this resolved callback function. If the promise is rejected, it is going to call the rejected function. Understood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have the first one, promise dot capital P. Okay, promise dot resolve. Okay, it returns a promise object with the resolved value. Next we have promise dot reject. Okay, here it returns us the reason behind the rejection, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Next we have promise dot then. Okay, promise dot then, what it is going to take? It is going to take the resolved function and here the optional of rejected. Okay, it is optional. Okay, it takes two values. These are the callback functions. Okay, whenever the promise is resolved, right? So what it is going to do? It is going to call this resolved callback function by passing the resolved value. If the promise is rejected, it calls this function by passing the rejected value for this function, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So next we have the promise dot catch. Okay, it returns a promise and it runs when the promise is rejected. Okay, it is the same as the promise dot then, undefined or unrejected. Okay, we will see that, which happens, which means that we have to provide unrejected function callback. Okay, we will see about the catch. Next we have the promise dot finally. Correct?
Yeah.
What you understood by finally?
Finally,
Hmm.
return promise expression callback function.
Yeah, finally means what finally? So if the promise is either resolved or rejected, right?
Yeah.
Fulfilled or rejected. So in that case, the finally block is going to be executed. The finally block, the promise dot finally argument callback function is going to be executed whenever the promise either fulfilled or rejected. Clear?
Yes.
Yeah. So next we have promise dot all. Okay, promise dot all. So what this function is going to do? It takes an array of promises. Correct? So what will happen? So, okay, we have n number of promises, which means we have n number of eventual values, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this promise will wait until all the promises are resolved or any one of the promise got rejected or any error if you get occurred. Understood?
Yes.
Okay, all promises should complete, right? Then only it will resolve. It will return some value. Or if any promise return any error, right? In that case, it will immediately returns from the promise itself. Okay, clear, right? Okay, next, first we will see the promises static method examples. Okay. Okay, I will save as promise. Okay, we don't have any work for the at the front end. Okay, so now promise.js. Okay, console.log promises examples. Okay. Okay, first example. So first what we are going to see? First I'm going to see promise. I'm going to create it. Promise dot resolve of okay got Apple iPhone, right?
Yes.
What it returns for us? It returns a promise back, promise object. Okay, it returns a promise with the resolved correct? We have to see what it contains. Now let me call this. Okay, you can see we print the promise object, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now what it returns? It returns a promise object with resolved value, right? Correct?
Correct.
And also we can say this promise has been settled, right?
Yes.
Resolved means settled. You can see fulfilled. We got the state as a fulfilled. Okay, so why it is not given? Okay, we'll see when we'll get the settled. Okay, so the promised state is fulfilled. Now what we are going to do after fulfill of our promise, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Promise obj dot, correct? Then, so what we are going to do? It is going to call a callback function, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to call callback function saying or we can say okay, I will make like resolve function, correct?
Yes.
So I'm going to create a resolve function here. Right, so here value, correct? What it is going to get, you are going to get the resolved value of the promise, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now if we execute, are you seeing? At the 11th line, we got the resolved value, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now once we got the resolved value, what is our plan? I will go taking Amazon Prime subscription for my iPhone, right? Yeah, so if you refresh it, what happened? I missed it. Okay, you can see the console log. And also we can write this inside of our correct? Understood?
Oh, you will mute the last line. Can you repeat the last line?
Did I? Okay, okay. So what I'm saying earlier, how I have written.
Yeah.
Right? Now I converted to arrow function.
Okay.
Clear, right? Just I
Yeah.
passed the resolved value. Then what is the plan that we are going to do? That we can do it after getting the resolved value, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Next. Next, I am going to create promise dot reject, correct?
Yes.
Okay, rejected due to insufficient funds. Okay, now here if I print the promise object, correct, we will see what is the state that we are getting, correct?
Yes.
Let me refresh it. Okay, so it is called fulfilled only. So it is not waiting until it performs this activity, right?
Yes.
Okay, if we print inside of this, okay, it shows the same fulfilled only. Okay, so okay, next I am going to take constant reject promise obj, correct?
Yes.
Promise has been rejected here, right? So what we are going to do, once it is rejected, reject promise object dot, correct? Dot, then, right? What it is going to take? First is the resolved function, correct?
Yeah.
Then it is going to take the clear?
Yes.
Yeah. So if we execute, we can able to see the rejected due to insufficient funds.
Okay.
Correct? Any questions you have?
No.
No, right? Yeah. Okay. The same we can achieve by using the catch as well. Okay. So if you see the rejected promise dot catch, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Reason console dot log of reason. Okay. If you see, you will get the same results. Okay. So the catch is nothing but similar to the
Returns comes when the promise is rejected.
correct. So it is something similar to reject promise, sorry, dot then of null comma rejected function. It is similar to that one, correct?
Yes.
This catch block also. Okay. Next we have promise chaining we have. Okay, so what is this promise chaining? So whenever we are going to perform a then, right, callback, JavaScript will resolve that promise and send the value to the next then callback. Okay, so this we call it as a promise chaining. Okay, so now if you see, I have done this activity, right? Promise object dot then. Okay, so console constant, right? Okay, then function obj I can put. Okay, we will see what it returns. Correct? Okay, you can see it returns some promise only back. Correct?
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, I have one. Okay. So okay, we'll see the promise chaining tomorrow. Promise chaining, and next we have this one also, promise how to create the promise object, right? That we will see tomorrow. And promise.all also we'll see in the tomorrow's class. Okay?
Yeah. Can you send me yesterday's video?
Yesterday's video? Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you want yesterday's videos, right? So what is your mail ID?
Keshamoni Nikhila, KESHA.
I think I'll get it. This one only, right?
Yes.
Okay. You may receive mail. Okay. Tomorrow we'll continue. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. You can try that example as well. Ajax example.
Okay.